And I've even in guests on other podcasts. I remember one podcast specifically, the host was saying, wow, you're going beyond the surface here. I'm like, yeah, because the surface is boring. Like the surface, nothing grows on the surface, right? I mean, there's some ancient truth and there's some ancient wisdom here. Like, for example, if you have seed and you have seed for plants and it falls down on the surface, you scatter it on the surface, it's going to die. There's nothing of substance for it to take root in. However, once you start to dig deeper into the soil and push those seeds down into the soil, that's where the growth happens. Why don't we, as individuals, as leaders of financial brands, why don't we have the courage to dig deep and to do the quote unquote the harder work, to go beyond the surface level parroting of commoditized marketing and commoditized sales of we have great rates, we have amazing service, we have a lookalike laundry list of these product features, and so as a result, we're all looking the exact same, because in reality, we all are the same. We're all doing the same exact things. We take money in, deposits, and then we loan it out and we make some money on the interest there. Why don't we do, why are, maybe it's a choice. Why are we choosing not to do the deeper level work of where the real transformation happens, whether that's marketing, sales, because that's going to directly impact the work that you're doing when it comes to not just building a glorified online brochure, but truly building a website that sells, that is then supported through quantitative analysis of A/B testing, messaging, calls to action, etc. What prevents us?
You were asking that question, and initially I thought, I don't know. And I think I may not know the full answer to why. But as you continued to talk and I thought about the question, I do have an answer that I think may explain at least part of it. And there's something called tyranny of the status quo. So, meaning that there becomes an established way of doing things, and it's very hard to break out of that established way of doing things, those established patterns. And so I look at that with credit unions, and there's a lot of tyranny of the status quo. So, most credit unions are pretty old, decades old, some even 100 years old, and in a lot of ways, they're still doing business the way that they've always done business. They think of the credit union as physical locations, physical branch locations, and people come to those branches to transact with them. And the internet came about, and they've sort of adopted it, but not, really are still more tied to those physical branch locations as being that's what the credit union is. And I think it's just been a very slow, very slow adoption because of that tyranny of the status quo. This is like, there's an idea of what a credit union is and what a credit union does. And in my experience, when with a credit union's website, I think most credit unions generally know how important that website is. Mm-hmm. And tangent, I wouldn't say that that's true for people outside of marketing. I'll come back to that in just a moment. But I think they generally, like, when I show people how we do A/B testing on credit union websites, I typically get one of two responses. One is either like, oh yeah, this is something we want to do. We just don't don't have time for it or don't have the expertise for it.